Today, we are excited to welcome our special guests from Advanced Tech Placement. This is a fast-growing, women-owned and led IT staffing and recruitment firm based in Atlanta, Georgia. Founded in 2020, Advanced Tech Placement has quickly become one of the top-performing staffing companies in the US, earning a spot on the list of fast-growing companies. They specialize in connecting talented tech professionals with great opportunities through contract to hire, and direct hire placements. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Grace, Angela, Britton, and Susan from Advanced Tech Placement. Ladies, the stage is yours.
All righty, thank you so much. Let me get my screen shared, and if I could just get a thumbs up as soon as anyone can see it. All righty, can you all see that?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, great. Well, hi, Queens. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are very excited to be here with you. My name is Susan, and I'm a part of the workforce success team at ATP. Like the introduction stated, we're a woman-owned IT recruiting firm that connects tech talent with top companies nationwide. So how we'll spend our day today with you, we'll walk through what's happening in the front-end space right now, introduce our team, share some practical tips to help you grow and stand out in your career, and then open it up for some Q&A at the end, where we genuinely want to hear what's on your mind and answer any questions. So let's jump right in. The front-end landscape in 2026. React is still king, but Vue, Svelte, and Next.js are gaining serious ground. TypeScript and modern hooks are becoming table stakes, not nice-to-haves. And what companies are consistently prioritizing is performance, accessibility, and mobile-first design. The good news for everyone is remote and hybrid opportunities are growing, which means your location is less of a barrier than it's been before. It's a strong time to be a front-end developer if you're positioning yourself strategically. With that, I'd love to introduce Grace Denyer, our CEO.
Thanks, Susan. I am Grace. I look a little bit different than my picture there because I've got my hair back. But alongside me today, we have Angela, or Angie, and Britton, who are two fabulous senior recruiters on our team. And they work with front-end developers and engineers and candidates every single day. ATP was built on a simple belief in terms of feeling like hiring should feel human. It was something that was near and dear to us. My co-founder, who's actually my sister, we're a women-owned company, and a difference we try and make is the way we show up for our candidates and our clients on both sides of those relationships. Our mission is pretty straightforward, elevating the workforce through trusted relationships and solution-first mindset. Everything we do is grounded on 5 values, which is integrity, professionalism, humility, curiosity, and grit. Britton will be talking, and Angie will be touching a little bit more on those values and really what companies look for there. On the services side, we cover 4 buckets. We do contract to hire, direct hire. We do SOW project-based roles or solutions, and we have some nearshore resources. So whether you're looking for a contract role or a permanent position with a company that we work with, we're happy to help. And I'll pass it over to Angie, our senior recruiter, who's going to give you some career tips.
Thank you, Grace. I'm Angie, and I've had the privilege of working with front-end developers at all different stages of their careers for close to 2 decades. So let me share what I genuinely see separating candidates who land the roles they want from those who don't. One of which is a portfolio in GitHub. Hiring managers want to see live projects with readable, documented code. They're not just looking for the finished product. They want to understand how you think and problem solve. So show your process, not just your polish. Next is resumes and LinkedIn. So lead with a measurable impact, not just how not just how you built a dashboard, but you've reduced load time by 30%. Your LinkedIn should tell your story. So, professional photo, a short skills section, also active engagement with your network. Message connections with purpose, request referrals and recommendations, and how to stay visible in the communities you care about, as well as soft skills. This one's a surprise to people, but technical skills alone won't get you promoted. So collaboration with designers and back-end engineers, as well as product managers. The ability to explain what you've built clearly, this shows up in interviews and on the job. So put them on your resume and provide examples around that. And finally, community and mentorship. You've already done this by being here today. So groups like Frontend Queens, Frontend Masters, and DevDoc2, the local meetups accelerate your growth in ways that solo learning can't. So after events like this one, follow up within 24 to 48 hours with a short personal message. Consistency in relationship building is what opens doors over time. So now on to Britton. She's going to walk you through how to actually navigate the job market.
Thanks, Angie. Hi, everyone. I'm Britton. I am a senior technical recruiter at Advanced Tech Placement. I have been working in the IT industry for close to 4 years now, and I'm here to just tell you a little bit more about how we can help during your job searches. I'm a recruiter, so not only do I work with the candidates, I also work directly with the clients and the hiring managers. Here's a little bit of a transparent way of how recruiters can actually work, for you and with you during the process. When you work with a recruiter, think of it almost like working with an insider or a middleman or even a matchmaker. I've had some people describe us as a matchmaker, being able to really zone in on what the client's looking for, but learn more about the candidates we're working with and what is most important to you guys, and being able to really find the happy medium there and pair you with the right position and the right company. We know what the hiring managers care about. We know what they're looking for. We know what is important for their culture. We know the future of their projects and what they're looking for in terms of development. And we really offer a lot of insight and intel to be able to prep you for interviews, give you all of the nuances about a hiring manager and their team and the company, and really help you evaluate an offer, not just based off of, the bottom line and the salary. While no one works for free, there are more important things as well that go into a total package. What's the company culture like? What's the growth trajectory in your position? And mentorship opportunities that come with any company. We really want to take in all of those really important details for you and help you, really throughout the process. It can be stressful at times. On career paths, one thing I would like to mention is it's not a straight line or a narrow track. Once you get into tech, whether it's front end or anything else, you can always grow and switch directions. You can start as a front end engineer and then get promoted and move up to lead or even tech lead, up to architect. You can even move into different sectors of the business like product engineering, engineering management. I know AI is the biggest and newest thing in the industry. Some developers are specializing in that as well. So, the main takeaway is that your career path is yours to shape. And our biggest goal is to be here to help you throughout the process and to be intentional. With that being said, if you want to connect with us after today, I believe we should be sending this out as well, but you can reach out to our email at recruiting@atechplacement.com and feel free to send us over your most recent resume. Mention that you came through the Front End Queens meetup, and we would love to hear from you and more about what you're looking for. I will pass it back to Susan.
Thank you, Britton. All right, perfect. Thank you all, Angie, Britton, Grace. All righty, ladies, so now it's your turn. We want to hear from you and start this Q&A. I have a question up on the screen, just something to get us started. What would you say is the number one challenge you're facing in your career right now? And we'll see how we can help. Drop it in the chat, raise your hand, whatever feels comfortable for you. We're here and listening and happy to go wherever the conversation takes us. So I will also monitor the chat. And if anyone wants to raise their hand or just chime in with a question, that's great too.
While we wait for questions, Susan, I want to ask something which is a big pain right now. Companies are not hiring junior developers. And what advice you can give to someone who is starting right now in front-end development and want to land a career?
Yeah, that's a great question. Angie or Britton, would one of y'all want to take that?
I can jump in, Angie, if there's anything you want to add, feel free. I agree. I think that's one of the major things we're seeing in the market, and I know AI is going to continue to shape how the entry level roles look nowadays. One of the biggest things I would recommend, and even if you have a few years of experience, it could be good for you long term. I know at least some of our clients that are bigger, Fortune 500 companies. I know a lot of them do internship programs. And a lot of that will lead to full-time positions are getting hired on permanently. While, some people may have a few years of experience, some people may be, really, really trying to get your foot in the door and in that first step. I always recommend internships, co-ops, even a part-time or contract role is a great way to really get your foot in the door and then, be able to shape your experience and kind of set a level of expectation there, not only for you and the client. And as long as you do well, typically that does lead to, conversion or long-term stability down the road. I know a lot of companies, a few of our clients do like summer internship programs with college graduates, some co-ops as well. And a lot of those do tend to convert to full-time. So it is a great way to really get your foot in the door at some of these companies. I know it can be really challenging for a bunch of entry-level positions. I know the market is tough right now, and there's a high demand of applicants as well.
Yeah, and I could touch on that a little bit. That's a great point. Britton took those words right out of my mouth in terms of finding some of those larger companies, but also really what Britton talked about is your network matters more than your resume a lot of the time. So most entry level jobs are filled before they're even posted publicly. So looking for LinkedIn connections, looking for connections of connections and the people that if there's even one or two person, feel free to use Britton, Angie, myself, or Susan's LinkedIn. If there's somebody that you see that we're connected with on LinkedIn, it's a company you're trying to get into and talking to us, we would be more than happy to make the introduction because a lot of times those doors open that way rather than cold applications. Also, applying, talking to firms like ATP. So as I guess the more touch points you have with recruiters, I mean, we work with many clients. So I think that opens you up rather than working with one client in specifically to make those introductions and work on the side projects like Angie talked about in terms of having a GitHub and developing apps and having that portfolio ready to go because that tells a bigger story a lot of the times than what's on your resume as well. I think those are a few other helpful points just to add on there. But good question.
Yeah, definitely. I see some questions coming in the chat, a few around interviews. So I see this one says, I'm not confident enough in coding portion of interviews, failed 2 rounds because I get nervous and forget. I also sometimes fail to mention I'm neurodivergent, so I need longer time. Do you have any suggestions or guidance on that one?
I could take that one. I was actually just working with a candidate the other day that was, super nervous just going through a technical screen. I think really preparing yourself before going into those interviews, practicing, even using ChatGPT to pull some potential questions that may come up and provide responses in your own words for those to those questions. The more you can prepare before going into an interview, the more confident you'll be.
100%. If anyone wants to add to that one, I'll give you a second, but I have another question from the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to not go silent in practice, being able to verbalized maybe during the interview of, hold on a second, can I think this through? Or
Absolutely.
I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Being able to communicate that is a really huge deal. And I think that hiring managers are a lot more accommodating than we think. So don't let that any of that intimidate you. Is if you can just verbalize, can I have a moment to think this over and bring a pen and paper, whatever you need to have, and verbalize that and take a moment. It's kind of like the beauty pageant thing. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that, but they ask a question and your first response is, wonderful question. And it really gives you a second. Thank you so much, Susan, for asking that. That was a great question. But really, what you're doing is you're giving your brain time to like process it and think it through. Same thing for an interview, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe to our two recruiters, what would you say when you're reviewing candidates with multiple candidates with similar technical skills? What makes one stand out over another?
I can start. A few things is, it depends on what level, of course, tenure is a big thing. I will say the market shifted though. So a lot of clients are not as weary of shorter stints. They know that the industry has shifted a lot more towards contract, but I always look at tenure. I think that when you're able to list a link to your GitHub or portfolio or show any work that you've done, whether it's personal or professional outside of the scope of your responsibilities at your main job, I think is a huge thing. And then when you're doing your resumes, really being able, I know that I believe Angie touched on this during the presentation, was being able to make sure that your bullets are metrics focused, instead of just, we built a dashboard, being able to speak on what your hands-on contributions were to the project and not just what the team did, and being able to show those metrics of what you did and how it improved, whether it's the time or the product, or, you save the company money, but being able to really put those into real metrics. Hiring managers are not only looking for the technical skill set, but they want to see if you go above and beyond, if you think outside the box, and if you're able to really show that not only in your resume, but hopefully that'll also be able to bleed over into your interviews as well. But when it comes to strictly resumes, I would say a few of those are the main things. Angie, if there's anything else you would like to add.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add that I noticed too is, candidates will oftentimes just kind of lean on the skill section on their resume, but ultimately recruiters and managers want to see where you apply those skills, where and how. So not just, listing in the skill section, add it to the body of your resume in detail. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure. I see a good question that might be a great follow-up for this one. So we were asked, could you discuss more about what kind of personal projects recruiters or hiring managers clients would want to see in the resume? They share, I've done some random vibe coding projects, but they might not add value. What should we pay attention to in our resumes?
Say anything AI focused. I know every company is different when it comes to that, but I do think that it's going to be very, very heavy and a big part of the industry. So I think as long as you're able to show that you're staying, above the curve and embracing it, of course, there's that fine line of not, relying solely on AI to generate your code. You still need to have that ownership over your code. But being able to show that you're kind of taking, the personal time to stay up to date and being able to show those projects. I would say AI, or if you ever go down the mobile route, being able to show those as well. Any, mobile applications that you've published to the app stores is a big plus.
Yeah, that's great. We're getting a lot of really great questions. So I don't want to cut y'all off, but I want to keep going and get as many as we can. So this one is, in your recent experience, where do you see the most demand right now in engineering? Is front end only still in high demand? Where's AI? Britton, you just touched on that. Are roles requiring engineers to be AI native now, or is it just, a nice to have? And then as a follow-up, are you seeing more demand for specialists or generalists?
I think front end skills are definitely still in high demand. To add to that, recently we have seen an influx of positions that require some exposure to AI. So if you've had, experience integrating AI into your current workflow, that's a huge plus. So if that's something that you can do like on the side, to maybe, create an AI workflow that can make your coding more efficient, as a side project, even better. But I wouldn't say that they're more generalist positions versus specialist. I think that a lot of clients are kind of more likely looking at candidates that can wear multiple hats. At least that's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, definitely. We have another one. I like this question. What's something candidates do that immediately makes you want to advocate for them to a hiring manager?
Angie, you want to go?
With transparency.
Yeah.
I love it when candidates share, where they are in the process, what else they're considering. At least, I know where they stand, and they, can be upfront in terms of, what their thoughts are in the position, what they don't like, what they do like, so that we can best identify the right opportunity for them. So the more information, the better.
Yeah, I would say transparency, authenticity, being excited, are some of the first things. And to Angie's point, the more we know about you and whether or not it's specific to a certain position we have or we don't have, being able to really understand what motivates you, what you're strongest at, where some of your weaknesses are, things that you may be on the fence about, being able to really get the full picture of what your preferences are and what you're passionate about. Not only will that translate into us being able to really identify the right position for you, but it's a great way for us to really have those transparent conversations with the hiring manager and being able to really go to bat for you. The more we know about you guys, the better we can do our job.
Yeah. We're not just looking to fill a position. We want to find the best fit for you and for our client. So.
Yeah, 100%. I know I skipped one up at the top, Delilah. I'm not ignoring you. I've copy and pasted it, and I'm going to, I can look and grab a few others too, and we can answer them offline. But I think this might be our last question that we have time for. Jennifer asked, my biggest challenge right now is landing. Oh, I started to echo a little bit. Sorry about that. Is landing my first role in front end since I'm pivoting from insurance. I've built foundational skills and hands-on experience through training. I will love any advice on positioning myself for my first role.
I think that goes back to identifying opportunities where, like, co-op positions, volunteer work, internships, to get a foot in the door in terms of gaining real experience.
Yeah, and utilizing your network. A lot of people go into smaller companies at first, or even startups. Startups are a great way to gain a lot of hands-on experience within a short amount of time. Startups are, a very fast-paced environment, and a lot of times you're wearing multiple hats. So I think for a first job, startups always look great, and I think you learn a lot within a shorter amount of time. And going back to Grace's point is, it still may be an old school mindset, but I think it'll be true, the next 40 years. It's utilize your network. I know that the industry has gotten away from human interaction, especially after COVID. But I really think utilizing your network and the people that you know is also a great way to get your foot in the door. And having someone that can really speak on your behalf that's on the inside is going to be the biggest way to get past the application process.
Yeah, and feel free to use the email that's on the screen and send your resume, and our team is happy to work with you and make sure that we can look at you. It's really a holistic package. It's really not just the resume. It's really not just the LinkedIn profile. Putting your picture on your LinkedIn profile, creating your GitHub. It's really holistically how hiring managers are looking at it right now is, are you able to think through the questions and problem solve or articulate that you don't know something? And that's okay too. So we'd be happy to help. Thank you so much. And if you have any other questions, feel free to email them as well.
Alrighty, perfect. Let me stop sharing. Again, thank you all so much for joining. This was a great turnout, and I'm really glad we were able to do this. And thank you again, Angie and Britton, for joining too. And
Thank you.
Mariya for hosting us. It was great.
Of course.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Susan. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Angela.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Talk soon.
Yes.